Hey guys, it's Bea. I'm going to be showing you a tutorial of the Oh Dear Dice game to help you learn how to play and make it a little easier. So when you open up the worksheet, you can see the tutorial. That's what I'm on right now. So if you'd like to follow along, that's only going to help you out. I recommend having it open as we go through this. Down here, a couple other tabs. The written instructions are basically the tutorial I'm giving you right now, but maybe a good thing to watch afterwards if you're more of a visual learner and you like to read what you're doing versus hear it. We have a blank game, so you can start your very own game. And then we also have the data and population graph, which I'll get to. So all you need to have is this worksheet open and a couple of dice. If you don't have any dice, that is totally fine. You can use this link, random.org/dice. And that's just a little online platform that's going to roll some random dice for you. All right, so in this game, we're going to be playing as deer and resources. And in round one, we're going to start with 20 deer and 20 resources, 20 of each. It's always important to know how many you're starting with because that is the data that we're going to be putting into our population graph. So I'm going to switch to that tab here. And you can see 20 deer and 20 resources in round one. We're always going to put in the number of deer and the number of resources that we have at the start of the round. So before we start doing anything in round two, we'll come back over here and put in our number of deer and number of resources after it's changed from playing round one. So let's learn how to play. You've got your deer and you've got your resources. Step one is to roll. So you're gonna roll your dice. If you only have one dice, just roll it once for deer and once for resources. If you have two dice, assign one for each. Random.org, you can select how many dice you want to be rolling, so just choose two. And I'm gonna go ahead and give a roll. All right, so for my deer, I got a 2, which you can see right here. A 1 or a 2 is going to be food. And for my resources, I got a 5, which is going to be shelter. 5 or 6 is shelter. So I'm going to roll again. All right, I got a 6, which is a shelter, and a 6, which is a shelter. All right, roll again. I got a 5, which is shelter, and I got a 2, which is food. So you're just gonna keep rolling like this, filling your chart. For sake of time in the tutorial, I'm not going to do all my rolls on the screen with you. You get the idea. Just roll, check what that is, and input it on your screen. So here I have our fully filled in rolls. Take note, these are the same rolls. Food, shelter, 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 food, food, shelter, 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 food. All right, so we've rolled, filled it all in. We've got 20 different resources chosen for the deer and 20 different resources chosen for the resources. Step 2 is to find matches. Now this is the part of the game that might be confusing at first, but I promise you it is so easy. My preschoolers literally play a game like this. So just track with me. We're only going to look at the deer side first. So number 1, starting at the top, food. Do I have any unused food in the resources side? Yes, I can see one right there. So I'm going to highlight the deer to say that it has a match. Here's its match right here. I'm going to strike through. That's this key up here next to bold and italic, and it just makes it look like it's crossed out. So this deer got the resource it needs, which was food, which means this food is no longer a usable resource for another deer. Now shelter, do I have an unused shelter? Let's see, I do. So I'm going to highlight my deer. Oops, wrong one. I'm going to highlight my deer and I'm going to cross out my shelter. Again, a deer wants shelter. So I'm going to highlight. I have a shelter. Food, do I have food? Oh, look, right next to it. So highlight and cross out. Water, again, right next to it. That's easy. That's random, okay? Not because it's right next to it that it matches, but because we have the resource available anywhere. So this one is not right across from it, but look, I see a food here that hasn't been used yet. So I'm gonna highlight that deer and I'm gonna cross out this food. I'm gonna keep on going in this way. Again, I'm not gonna do the whole list here for you on the tutorial. I wanna respect our time. So I've highlighted them all for us already. all the way through. The only deer that didn't have a match was deer number 18 chose food. There wasn't quite enough food because resource number 17 was a shelter, just didn't match up. So we're gonna count the deer that did get their resource, count those matches. We've got 1, 2, 3, wait, here's a better way, 20 minus 1. We got 19 matches. So step 3, count your matches. Roll, find your matches, count them. Step 4, this game is played in 4 easy steps, so we're already almost done with round 1. We're going to set up the next round. So in round 1, we had 19 deer who got matches. That's all of these highlighted blue deer. Delete this space so we can see these things together. Delete, delete. There we go. All right, so in round 1, we had 19 deer. That's the blue highlight. They all survive. Animals that survive tend to have one thing in common that keeps the species going. They reproduce. So every single one of these 19 deer is going to have a little deer baby. So we're going to do 19 plus 1 for each of those, or 19 times 2. You can do the math. 19 times 2. 38. Good job. All right. And in round 1, we had the one resource that wasn't chosen. That resource number 17 didn't get chosen. So that's just going to roll over into the next round. So we know we have at least one resource going into the next round. And we had one deer who didn't get a resource. Deer number 18 did not get a resource. What happens when animals don't get the resources they need? They die. So deer number 18 is now dead, but dead animals in the forest are super important because as their bodies decompose, they are contributing nutrients to all different animals. Little bugs are going to eat away at that deer, and eventually it's going to become soil to grow a new plant, all types of things. That is called nutrient cycling. So this dead deer is going to become a resource in our next round. So going into round 2, we have the leftover resource that hadn't gotten chosen, and we have the dead decomposing deer that's becoming a resource. So that means we have 2 resources going in to round 2. So round 2, we're only gonna have 2 resources, and we gotta get all the way up to 38 deer. Lucky for you, I already wrote it out. So here, round 2, we have 2 resources and we have 38 deer. Now looking at this, let's take a moment and think. We have 38 hungry, thirsty, cold deer that need food, water, and shelter. But we only have 2 resources. We don't know what we're gonna roll for these yet. They could both be food. That means every single one of these thirsty deer and every single one of these cold deer and all but 2 of those hungry deer are gonna die. So what do you think this is gonna happen going into round 3 here? Just take a minute, make a hypothesis. Keep thinking on this. I'm going to put our starting numbers into this data and population graph. We have 38 deer and 2 resources. So this graph auto-populates as soon as you put the data in, which I love. We started with even numbers, 20 deer and 20 resources, and you can see the blue line is deer, and the deer population grew. They all had their needs met, they reproduced, they're growing the herd, we're getting more and more deer in this ecosystem. The resources, however, got depleted because all 20 of those hungry, thirsty, cold deer got the food, water, shelter. So resources went down. This makes sense, right? We had 40 deer to start with. We still have 40 here. One population exploded and one population drastically declined. All right. So what do we expect to happen in round 2? We're going to roll. Now, this is an optional hint. If this confuses you at all, don't worry about it. Just do all of the rolls. But if you don't want to do 38 rolls when you know we only have 2 resources, I recommend to you just roll for the thing you have less of first. So I'm going to roll my resources right now. I rolled a 5 shelter. Oops. And I also rolled a 5 on my other dice. All right, so now we have the resources filled in. This is just gonna make it easier on us that we don't need to roll for 38 deer that are probably all gonna die. We only need to roll until we see that we've rolled 2 shelters. All right, so I'm gonna roll my dice. And I got a 1. And I got a 4. Neither of those are a shelter, so we need to roll again. All right, I got a 3. And I got a 2. Again, not shelter, we have to keep rolling. All right, I got a 3. And I got a 4. Again, not shelter, keep rolling. All right, let's see, we got food here and our first shelter. All right, that means we only need to keep rolling until we draw 1 more shelter. The reason is we only have shelter for resources. So we already know we've got 1 match here. We can only get 1 more match with this other shelter. So we just have to roll again to get shelter. So let's see what we get this time. Sweet, we did it. I rolled a 3. Oh, 3 is water, not food. And I rolled a 5, which is shelter. So again, if that confused you, don't worry about it. Stick with the classic. I'm just trying to make our lives easy because we only have 2 resources. So we just know automatically that all of these deer are going to die because these are the only 2 deer who got the resources, right? All of these deer are also going to die in this one. So we're going to now find those matches and count them up. Let's see. No food, no water, no water, no food, no water, no water, no food. Shelter. Cross it out. And no water, shelter. And cross it out. So how many matches do we get? Count up your deer who got their resources. 2 matches. We have 2 deer that found the resource they need. So we're going to set up the next round. In round 2, we had those 2 deer who got their matches. So they're surviving, they're reproducing. That means each of them is having a baby. So 2 times 2. That means we will have 4 deer in round 3. And now let's think about resources, all right? We didn't have any leftover resources. That means nothing's rolling over. There's no resources left. But what about all these dead deer? So no leftover resources, but we have 36 deer because we had 38 and 2 got the resources. So 36 did not. 36 deer are dead. And they're going to nutrient cycle, feed our resources for the next round. 36. So 4 deer and 36 resources starting round 3. Let's update our graph. 4 deer and 36 resources. Now check it out. We started even. The deer population exploded because all their needs were being met. The resources dropped dramatically. Now we had a ton of deer and no resources. So what happens when a ton of deer don't get their needs met? They die. And that's what we're seeing in this graph. This deer population plummeted. And when the deer aren't eating up all the resources and drinking all the water out of the stream and using every shelter in the forest, those resources get to recover. So we are seeing the resource population climb steadily back up. Now we have a resource plentiful ecosystem and not very many deer. So let's see what's going to happen in round 3. 4 deer and 36 resources, all right? We're gonna roll. You guessed it, I already rolled, filled it in. So I filled in the deer first, remember, just like I showed you, because we only have 4 of them. I do this if there's less than, I don't know, maybe 7. Any more than that, it's hard to keep track of. So if you've got more than 7, just roll for everybody in both columns. But if you have one column with less than 7 or so, and you can keep track in your brain, you're just saving yourself time. So let's see, I rolled a water, got it right here. So let's highlight this one. I got a food, yep, highlight. Another water, do I have it? Yes, I do. and shelter. Here we go. So in this ecosystem, in our round 3 ecosystem, not that many deer, a ton of resources. That means all of those deer are getting their needs met. They're gonna reproduce, and we have a lot of leftover resources to feed the herd in the next round. So count them up, 1, 2, 3, 4 matches, and a ton of leftover resources, all right? Round 3, all 4 of our deer get matches. 4 times 2, going into round 4, we will have 8 deer. And how many resources didn't get chosen? Let's see, we had 36 to begin with, and 1, 2, 3, 4 were chosen. That means we have 36 minus 4. We have 32 resources left over. Oops, this should be round 4. All right. So round 4, we have our 8 deer, and we have our 32 resources, right? Let's fill in our data and population. 8 deer and 32 resources. Now, does this make sense? Remember, our total number should always add up to 20, or 40, I'm sorry, should always add up to 40, because that's how many total we have in this ecosystem, right? So 32 and 8, that's 40, that makes sense. Does this make sense in our graph? We had a really low number of deer and a really high number of resources. That means all those deer get to eat. They're living good. They want to reproduce, so the deer population climbs. When the deer population climbs, they start to eat everything. What happens to the resource population? We are seeing that here. It's starting to go down. All right, so you guys are going to take over now. Round 4, roll your dice, count your matches, find your matches, then count them, fill it in for round 5, keep it going, and you're going to play for at least 12 rounds, all right? You can play more than that, because I personally, is like my favorite game. It's just really interesting to watch this data on the graph go. But you're gonna play at least 12. You can absolutely use the 4 that we've already played. You can just keep on going in this video tutorial tab. Same thing in the written instructions tab. I got you filled in up until round 4. This is the exact same data in this tab that we were using for the video tutorial. So just if you want extra written instructions. If you don't want, and you want to play completely your own game, you've got a blank game set up for you here with those instructions. Roll, find your matches, count your matches, and set up the data for the next round. Go ahead and play. And when you are all finished, you're going to come back to the lesson web page to continue learning about these deer and resource relationships. Thanks for learning with me. I will see you guys later.